Hey everybody, welcome to Fab Fit Friday. Look at Andrea go, early bird for 2 weeks in a row. I'm happy you have sunny time in California. I have my window open. It's been raining on and off and it's really warm in here, so I'm hoping that window doesn't bug anybody to let that light in. Let me just stop and say hi to Polly. You completed a wearable muslin and wore it to ASG meeting this week. Many compliments on the fit. I was thrilled. Now I have to brush up on some rusty sewing skills. Hey Karen, welcome. All right, well, today we're going to do some fitting on my final Grace Auditore draft that I've been working with, and I made a tragic error. I'm going to go ahead and admit it to you. So here is my princess seamed top that I designed from the pattern, and I'm going to show you how that fits in a minute. But here is where my tragic error came into play. Oh, hi Lori. You learned so much last Saturday. Well, I'm so happy you were able to join us, and I'm happy that you learned a lot. And I'm also happy we'll be getting together again in May. So I want to get those sleeves finished. But I do want to say that this whole process of doing all of these drafts and then comparing them and also then trying to get them to fit me has really been a treasure trove of more things that I've learned. So let me just back up and say what happened was, you know, the draft, and I'm just going to show you the draft here. I have it on my table. Okay, so this is a copy of the draft. Okay, and I feel like if you have a large bust cup size, having, you know, bust and shoulder dart and a little bit of a waist dart is a really good, is a really good way to get a good shape in the cup, right? Because clearly I have a good shape in my cup, but it's not ideal for finished garments because, you know, you don't want all those individual darts, or maybe you do, I don't know, but I don't. So I wanted to get rid of the bust dart and create a princess seam. So what I did was I carefully analyzed the fit of this. I changed the copy of my pattern I made, and then instead of making a copy of my new fitting changes, I just cut it apart and made it a princess seam. So that's a little bit of a problem now, because now I don't have a front, like I'd like to have a fitted version of, you know, oh, just a one piece. So this is the princess seam right here. This is what I created from the draft. And so now what I'm going to do is show you how to do it all over again, because this is what I would say a cardinal rule of fitting and drafting. You never want to cut up your fitted basic pattern, and that's what I did. So this pattern, what you see on this paper, is how this fits me. So I want to just show you, we're going to start at the neck, and I'm going to show you how I transferred all of my adjustments to the pattern. Hey Victoria, you messed up big time on your shift dress. I cut the shoulder too low. I'm 12 inches from my shoulder to my apex. I'm trying to fix it, but being great big sewing dummy, it hasn't been easy. Oh no. Well, I mean, off the top of my head, Victoria, I think you could just sew another strip of the fabric back on and almost make like a little panel in the front and the shoulders to get it to reach. You could try that. I know that's annoying. I'm going to tell you a mistake I made too, but my mistake worked out for me. So the first thing I want to show you here is I'm going to stand up and show you. I decided that I needed a few things, and we're going to start at the neck. I'm adding a 1/2 inch of length at the neck here. Well, I'm going to show you what I'm going to add. I figured it out carefully. I'm going to show you. But basically, the front neckline is too low. It should be, the stitching line should be where this is for the, to put a collar on. So that was the first thing I fixed. The next thing I did was, and I want you guys to pay close attention to this because this has been a bane of my existence, and I want to talk about fitting. See how nice this side fits? Okay. What I did to get this to fit, let me show you the side that does not fit. So see how this is all loose, and I don't know if you can tell, but this side does not really fit well. The dart is too low. Like if I press the dart against my body, what I want to show you here is this dart should be about a 1/2 inch below the fullest part of my bust. Okay, so I'm going to get away from saying check from your apex, okay, because your apex might not be what your goal is. And what I mean by that is everybody's bust is shaped differently. So some people have more fullness below their apex. Some people have more fullness on the side. Some people have more fullness on top. So the goal, I think, for this dart is to get it so it's sort of up on the bust, right? So I need it to be, up a little higher, because look where it is. It is almost entirely below my bust, right? See where it is? So I raised it 3/4 of an inch. I'm gonna raise it 3/4 of an inch, and there's too much cup because it's, see, I can pinch out all of this extra. See, like right here, I can pinch all this extra out. It's too big. So what I did to fix it was I sewed a pleat through the dart. So I took the dart out. Okay, I unsewed the side seam. I took the dart out. I sewed a pleat across into the dart intake, and then I trimmed the pleat down so I could then re-sew that dart. But you can see that makes it better, but it's still below my fullest part of my bust. Okay, so it needs to come up a little bit like this, and then that's more attractive. All right, so I fixed all of that. Plus you can see, I think you can see it's still pulling, and I felt like I needed a little bit more ease. And honestly, I feel like it's pulling from my shoulder down. What is happening to my, hold on a second here. I have a tear in the back of this. That's why it's not hanging straight. I'll show you. But basically, I feel like it's pulling to here because the cup is still a little bit too low. I needed to hike it up that little bit. So these pulls are because the bust dart's still a little bit too low. I feel like if I close it, I'd like to add a little bit more ease. And those are the things I'm going to show you. So I did a lot of careful, examination of this muslin, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to fix everything here. And if you don't mind my tank top, I'm just going to leave this on because I am so boiling I'm going to explode. So I'm just going to go ahead and just wear my little black tank top and today for Fab Fit Friday. So just bear with me. So the reason why I couldn't get it to hang nicely on around my neck is because I tore it as I was taking it on and off. And the reason why that happened is because I didn't stay stitch. So definitely stay stitch around your neckline when you're trying it on and off, and that will prevent, a lighter weight muslin from tearing. But that's why I couldn't get it to stay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you, oh wait, let's see, Victoria's telling me something here. Oh, I forgot to say it came out 9 inches from shoulder to apex. You messed up big time. Might cut my shoulder too low. I'm 12 inches from shoulder to the top of apex, and I was trying to, oh, so you have like a 3-inch difference, Victoria. That's a lot. Yeah, you might have to cut out new fronts. Maybe it isn't that you cut your shoulder too low. Maybe you need to bring your bust dart down. Like, you can move your bust dart down. I'm going to show you how to pick my bust dart up so you can do that in reverse and move it down. Karen's telling me don't explode. I am so hot. It's been 85 degrees here in Connecticut the past 2 days. It's been ridiculous. Now it's going to go back to springtime temperatures, you know, tomorrow, the next day. So I'll be able to slowly acclimate, but I am very warm today. All right, so let me show you what I want to show you here. So the first thing is I pinned together, okay, so this is this half right here, this is my princess seam, the center front princess seam that I adjusted. I also added a button placket. I'm going to show you how to do that too. But what I did was I pinned the center front edges together like this. See, so I lined those up. So I lined the neckline up so I could see what the differences were. Okay, so we're going to make that change first. And basically, if I color this in, you'll see what I mean here. I raised the neckline a 1/2 inch at center front, and I blended to 0 at the shoulder in the front. So you can see right here. So see how I extended the center front neckline. So I'm going to add that to my pattern. And then in the back, I did the same thing. I pinned my center front and center backs together, right? And then you can see here, I actually had to add this little wedge right here to get it to sit right. So let me just color that in so you can see what that looks like. So that's the first thing I'm going to fix. Now here's the thing. Oh, so actually, and I have to fix the shoulder then too. So it'll be something like this. So I have to add all of this onto the back shoulder, which I don't need to do it because the back is unaffected. So I don't need to fix the back. I just wanted to show you what my neckline fixes were. So actually this one isn't a problem because I did fix this, right? I fixed it, but I didn't have to cut it. I didn't make the back a princess seam, right? So I don't need to worry about the back. I just wanted to show you that was something I did in the back. The other thing I did in the back was I made my back waist dart much smaller. I made it just a 1/2 inch because I wanted to give myself a little more ease back there. So that's what I did in the back. So the back is all set. So I do have to transfer this to the front because I want a whole front in case I want to do something else. So first thing I'm going to do here is, and I'm going to use a different color. I traced it in blue, so I'm going to use a different color here. I think it's almost time to get new Sharpie markers. We'll use a dark blue. All right, so I'm going to leave this here so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start at center front right here, and I'm going to extend that up a 1/2 inch like this. And I'm going to use this darker blue color. And then I'm just going to carefully, and actually I can use my short French curve for that probably. Let me see, where is that? I'll use this. So what I'm going to do here is I'm basically going to just blend this back until I get a very similar amount of, I want to get a similar wedge here. So I'm just going to do something like, I probably want it to end about here. You know, and then just going to give myself a little bit of a straightaway right here. That's the seam allowance, so actually I need a little bit more. And then I'm going to just do something like this. Okay, so that fixes the front neckline that was screwy. Okay, so I did that. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I am going to take my shoulder dart, my bust dart, and I'm going to draw myself a guideline that's kind of like this. You want it to be, and I think I got rid of, you know how you can tell how much I got rid of? I'm going to use my muslin. So my original dart was this big. Okay, so this is my original dart. I just want to verify that because that looks really big. That's 2 1/4. Half of it's 2 1/4. This one is 1 and we'll say 1 3/4 folded in half. So I think I might have already done that to the pattern because I'm looking here. So like on the stitching line, yeah, that's already 1 3/4. So I already did this adjustment actually to this pattern. But the way you would do it is you would draw yourself, you know, whatever you pleated out in the muslin, you would pleat it out here, then you would redraw your dart. But I think I've already done that because this, it's already got the smaller dart. So see, this is, okay, so this is the problem I'm trying to prevent you guys from having. You want to keep good records and you always want to keep copies of what you're doing because otherwise you get lost in what you did. So I think I must have gotten rid of that because, well, let me look at my original. Well, no, that's, well, I mean, that's what I traced. So no, I didn't. Because that's the same. That's what I traced. For 2. I'm wondering if I... All right, so I guess now I don't know what I did. Like, that's going to be annoying. All right, I'm going to leave the dart alone because I really think I made it smaller based on, because this is, hold on one second, let me just check one more time. All right, this is the dart that was too big, but this does not match what I had, so I must have, all right, so this is what I'm freaking out about here now. So this dart is huge compared to what I have here. So I think I already changed the dart. And then the other thing I'm going to check is, hold on one second. I'm going to measure from my armhole seam, which is right here. This is my armhole seam. I'm going to measure from here to where my dart actually is. Okay, that's like 4 1/4. And that is 3. Nothing is matching up. Oh my God, I'm going to snap. I wonder if this is my old muslin. All right, so all right, All right, we're going to do a Fab Fit Friday reset here. I thought I knew what I was going to show you. I feel like I'm having a repeat from last week where I started out thinking I was going to do one thing and then I ended up showing you something else. And my guess is I have so many pieces of paper and I've traced this pattern so many times. I think I made these changes and now I think they're already in there, the things I wanted to show you for the bust dart, because I am now, yeah, because it's only 12, the tip of the dart's only 12 inches from my shoulder, which is higher than it would have been if I had used my longer measurement. So we're gonna just say that I've already put all these things in here. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna show you how to create a princess seam. That's what I'm gonna do. Because I've obviously already fixed that based on the measurements. All right, so let me go back over here. Okay. All right, so again, I was saying that having all of these darts is not conducive to a nice overall design. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to connect this dart. I'm just going to go like this, and I'm going to go like this. Okay, so basically you can see I'm connecting the tips of the darts together. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to cut let me get rid of all this extra paper first. Hold on one second. Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut here straight to the tip of the shoulder dart like this. And I'm going to rotate half. So I'm going to go ahead and make myself a guideline like this to the middle of the dart right here. So this is half my dart, this half right here. I'm going to rotate that to the shoulder. And so what I'm going to do essentially is I'm going to bring this cut edge down till it closes like this. All right, so see what I'm doing? I'm closing half of the dart at the shoulder. And the reason why I'm not closing the entire dart, look how big this dart is already. You know what I mean? I've already added that much more to a dart that goes to here. So that's why I'm rotating half the dart to the shoulder. And then you can probably guess what I'm going to do next. I'm going to give it a minute. Hold on one second. I just want to make sure the tip of my dart is right here. I just want to keep track of the tip of the dart is where that blue dot is right there. Okay, I'm going to then redraw this to here. And again, I'm going to lift this one up. And I'm just going to connect this to here, like that. And then I'm going to cut through the waist dart like this, up this line. And then I'm going to go to here, this lower dart like this. And essentially I'm just going to close that. Okay, and what happens when you close it is you get a little opening. I'm going to show you the opening. Okay, so see how I closed that dart? And now I'm just going to separate them. Okay, so see what happens now is I get that little triangle right there. So see that little triangle right there, that little opening? It's about 1/4 of an inch. That's going to be the ease I'm going to spread through here. And it also creates a nicer shape if you leave that there. So essentially, I'm just going to take a piece of paper, a little piece of paper, and I'm going to fill that that little space in like this. Okay, so basically this is going to be my side front now. Okay, and I'm just going to trim off this extra. And you can see what a nice shape that makes at the tip of the dart. It just gives it a nice shape. If this closed completely, you'd have a point there. And if that happens, if you get a point here, if you close yours and you don't have this little flared triangle right here, I'm just going to color it in so you can see this little triangle is what opened up. Okay, if you don't have that and it's at a point, what you would do, because everyone's shaped differently and you might get a slightly different result, but if you had that problem, what you would do is you would add some paper here, and basically what you would do is if this was at a point, you would just fill this in like 1/8 of an inch and then blend back over here to create a better shape from a point. Does that make sense? You would add just like about 1/8 of an inch in here to nothing, like this. And then that would give you that nice shape. All right, but I don't need to do that because I've got that little break, and that works. Oh, Karen's got to leave, so you'll finish watching later. Thank you so much, Karen. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so that takes care of that side. And then I'm going to cut this dart off, this side of the dart off. And I'm also going to cut off this. Okay, so that's how you get a princess seam. And then what you do is you put these right sides together, line up your shoulder, and I like to be about between 4 and 6 inches to ease in that little bit of extra. So I'm going to come down and I'm going to mark from here about, 2.5 to 3 inches, make a notch there. And then I'm going to go down here. I'm going to line up the hems like this. And again, I'm going to go from below here. See what I'm doing? I'm going to go from here down about that much. Okay, and this will be my notches to ease in that little bit, if that makes sense. Okay, so you can see from here to here, I bet you measures less, and I will just verify that for you. So this measures 5.5 inches, and this measures 5 and 5 3/4. So that little quarter we added is in there. Now, if you have a lot of side fullness, you can always cut this and spread it a little bit more. So like I could recut this and spread it to give myself a little bit more ease on the side. But I know from how it fits, so I don't need to do that. So that's how you create a princess seam. And what I want to do now is I want to show you how my shirt fits. I mean, I have it on my ditto form, which you guys know, following along with me, that my ditto form is so similar to my shape. So let's again look at how it fits her, Dottie. Okay, see how it fits her? Okay. Now I'm going to take it off, and I'm going to put it on myself so you can see. Okay. All right, so you can see how nicely this fits me. And then this is going to bring us up to a little talk on fine-tuning the fit of the shoulder or the cap. So what I want you to do is I want you to look carefully at this cap. See how nice that fits? Right? Now I want you to look at this one. And I don't know if you can see it, but there's some extra poofiness on this side. Like it's almost like I have a little poof along the top of my cap here. And it's gotten better. I will say when I first made this shirt, it was much poofier. And then as the linen relaxes, it's actually, you know, molding more to my shape now. But I know there's extra there. Like when I go like this, see how when I go like this, see over here, I don't really have extra popping up. But when I do this, see how you can see it? This extra right here? We don't want that. So this is what I'm excited about. Oh, hi RT Blades from Nashville. So this is what I'm excited about. Remember when I showed you, and I'm just going to remind you. Hold on one second. Okay, so we're using, let me just make this a little higher so you can see what I'm showing you here. Oh, I can actually make her be a little lower. Ooh, there we go. We'll just have her be lower because I want you to see what's happening right here. Let me put this back on. All right, so remember, it was my philosophy that you measure from here to here. The stitching line to this stitching line is what you're measuring, right? And when I put the tape, I pinned it right here. I'm just going to pin it on just to remind you. And of course, if you miss this, then you'll see. So if you pin it on like this, so that the top edge of the tape measure is a ½ inch from the top edge of the raw edge of the armhole, then put it on, right? So let's pretend I'm putting it on me. And by popping on the sleeve, that's me putting it on. Okay, then you wrap this around so it's parallel to the floor, and then you measure from this line, the stitching line on your shoulder, to the top of the tape measure, because if this is parallel to the ground, then it's even with where it should be lining up with your stitching line. So the cap needs to reach from here to here, right? So I did that, and what I want to say about this now that I've gotten to the final end of my fitting is, depending on your shape, like I don't know for everybody, but for me, my cap ended up being a ½ inch too long. But I want to say that's a good thing, because if you measure that way and then you put your final shirt on, right, and it's too high, you can fix it. If it's too low, if your cap is too low, you cannot fix it because it will, you have no fabric to add. So what I want to show you here is, I'm going to switch my view again, and I just want to show you what I did. So basically, I took apart the sleeve, you know, probably about, I would say 4 to 5 inches on either side of the shoulder seam. And then you can see I pulled it up a ½ inch. So you can see how there's like a whole inch allowance at the top of the shoulder, top of the cap. So basically I got rid of a ½ inch of ease. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do that to the other side. So if you guys just want to see how I would do it. So basically what I would say here is do not remove your gathering stitches till you're sure it fits. I took my outer gathering stitches out, and now I don't have it there anymore. But if you look really closely, even at this, you can see the poofiness, right? You can see how, like, see how it's kind of poofy? There's too much ease there. And if I look at the other side, you know, not on a body, you can see it's laying much, you know, it's laying much nicer, right? So basically what I did was, I decided I'm gonna go down maybe this far. So I picked the stitches there. Okay, and then I go over to this side and I pick the stitches here about the same, you know, 4 to 5 inches down. I have a big armhole, so I'm doing 5 inches, but if you have a smaller size, you might not need to pick it out that much. But basically, I'm going to take out my armhole stitching. And if you pick like every, you know, 5th or 6th stitch, then the stitching comes out fairly easily. Plus, when I'm constructing my garments, I use a 3.0 stitch length, which is not super tiny. It's easier to come out, and it's plenty strong enough for like durability. So I use a, you know, I use a slightly longer stitch length, 3.0. So you can see here, I'm just taking this out like this. Okay, and I'm gonna just keep taking it out until I get down to where I started taking it out over here. Like this. Ooh, I have a nice breeze coming in now. Phew. All right, so I'm just going to pick this out here. Okay. Okay, so I've picked it out, and you can see here's my shoulder seam right here. Okay, so you can see I've basically picked out, you know, equally on both sides. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get my little pins, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this back under here so I can get the wrong sides together like this. I'm going to put the sleeve back in. Okay, so now what we see here is, you can see I still have my gathering is still intact, the one closer to the edge, and this worked out okay. So basically what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to take the top of the cap and I'm going to stick it up a 1/2 inch from the shoulder. Like this. So see how it's about a 1/2 inch? So I'm going to pin that together there. And then I'm going to match it all back together, blending to nothing. I might have to, because I've got the gathering, it should still fit pretty 1-to-1 here. So I've got the 1/2 inch of cap. Okay, and I just want to very gradually go back to the original stitching line, right? So I want to be real gradual, like that. So I'm going to go ahead and pin it, and then I can just sew that up. You know, I can sew it back together. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you how to transfer this to your paper pattern too. So see, I've got it pinned, I've got it pinned. And so basically what I'm doing is I'm drawing out some of the cap height so it just sits nicer. Okay, so if we look at it from the wrong side, you can see it very gradually goes back to the original stitching. Okay, so I'm basically just taking off a little bit of that cap. Okay, so here's my machine. I can all right, so I am going to sew on the armhole side because I want to see that 1/2 inch seam allowance, right? I can't see it from the sleeve cap side because it becomes an inch up here. All right, so let me just sew this together. And again, I'm putting my stitch length on 3.0. So I can almost still see my lines, my little needle lines from my first, the first time I sewed this together. So I'm using that as a guide to put it back the way it was. All right. I'm just evening out the gathers as I'm coming back towards joining my original stitching here. Oh, actually, I am going to take this out a little bit farther. Where did my seam ripper go? I'm going to take this out a little farther because I can see down here I also made a little bit of a sewing mistake. Like my armhole is not reaching the cap even where I didn't take it out yet. So let me just fix that one here. Okay. Like that. And this should be up here. It should be down there. I'm just fixing, evening up these edges. Like this. And then when I get down to here, I'm just going to connect to my original stitching right here. Okay. So you can see, again, we just took out that little bit to make it, to get rid of that cap. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to use my fancy scissors that I never use. Get ready, take a picture. I'm using my Kai scissors. And what I'm going to do here is I'm carefully going to cut off the extra cap. And then you'll be able to see what I took off. And I'm going to cut them both off so we can compare if I did it 100% evenly. I think this one I did a little bit less. So let's cut off this one. Okay, so this is the little piece I cut off here. Okay, and then I'm going to cut off the other side that I did before. Let's cut that one off and let's compare them. If I didn't take enough off this side I just showed you, I can go back and fix that later, but I think it'll work out fine because actually the linen was agreeing more and more the longer I left it hanging on my dress form. Essentially, I'm just going to cut this off. And I'm being careful not to cut anything else that I don't mean to cut. All right, so I definitely took out a lot more on this side, so I'm going to put it on and just double check, and I might take out the cap I just showed you after, because you can see this is what I took out of my first edge, and that's what I took out here. That was a little less aggressive on the side I showed you. All right, let me just say hi. Hi to some people. Jaggalo. Diane Bacon, hi Diane. Oh, and Starling says don't forget to like the stream and hydrate. Thank you for that. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm not gonna use this one because I think going forward, I think when I originally did it, this really worked, like before the linen started to relax. So I'm gonna use this side, and basically what I'm doing now is I'm kind of breaking the gathering stitches so I can stretch it out and use it as a template. I love to tell my students, if you cut off something, use it as a template to transfer it to your paper pattern. So that's basically what I'm going to do. All right, so I've got this like this. And obviously, we're not going to cut it jaggy like that, but essentially, the longer side was coming towards the front. So this is my front. So I'm just going to put a dot on the front. And this is my back over here. Okay, front, back. So what I'm going to do to fix this now, oh, let's try it on and see if we can tell the difference. Let's do that first. All right, let me just see if, now that I fixed the shoulder, so this is the side, oops, no, I'm sorry. This is the side I just did, and you can see even though I didn't take as much off, it still looks nice. And if I lift my arm, I'm not getting as much of a hump there as I did before. So, hey Mary, so nice to see you. Mary, it's not black, it's red. I always think of Mary when I pick colors out because Mary always cheers me on when I get out of my black. So you can see I'm just really happy with the way this shirt fits now. And I do want to also mention to you that even though, and I'm going to show you the cap height is pretty high, look at my range of motion. Look. Like I can really, you know, I can move this around and I'm not feeling snuggo anywhere. So this is a really comfortable shirt. I'm very excited. Now there's one thing I didn't tell you. You might have seen it in a post because I admitted it in my post. I didn't add seam allowances to my edges of my princess seam. I forgot to do that and then I cut it out. How many of you have done that before? I almost had a heart attack because, I'm going to show you why. I was being so careful. I spent all day Sunday last weekend sewing this shirt. Literally all day. And I only got this far. Like I haven't finished it. But I just want to remind everybody what I did here. Hold on. I'll just take this off. And I'm going to save this scrap because we're going to fix that in a minute too. But one of the things I did to my pattern Remember I said I thought I needed more ease, right? So what I did, all right, now let me just show you here. Mary says, I see that. I know, very excited. Okay, so let me just show you here. Whoops, let me make it a little darker. I don't want it to be blown out. So you can see on my pattern, I guess I don't need this here anymore. Hold on. Let me just put this down so I have more room. Okay. Okay. All right, so what I want to show you here is, in addition to fixing the neck, fixing the shoulder, the dart, closing the dart, and then raising the dart, those were all the things I did. Basically, the other thing I did was I split the pattern here and I added all this ease. Okay, and I also split the pattern from here to here and swished this out to put ease here because I thought I needed all that ease. But I think what happened was, now, and you notice you can see I didn't tape any seam allowance to these edges. I forgot. And how I realized that I made that mistake after, and I just want to show you because you know how I love sewing so much. I just want to show you. Look at all my beautiful princess seams. Every seam, including the seam over the bust, is a very nice princess seam, right? So I took the time to sew princess seams on the center, front, and side. Also let me make this a little brighter so you can see. Also the side seam, also the center back, right? The other one, I did all of that. And then when I went to match the shoulder, look what happened. That's when I noticed my front shoulder was a whole inch shorter than my back shoulder. That's when I realized I made the mistake of not adding seam allowances here. So I almost had a heart attack. And then I thought to myself, oh my God, if I have to take my fronts off and cut new fronts, I'm going to cry and I'm going to quit sewing. But for some miracle, luck of the Lord, yes, French seams. What did I say? Did I say not French seams? French seams. If that did not fit me, I would have been so sad because it took me forever to sew those French seams. Like literally, I steamed each one flat. I trimmed it to 1/8. I pressed it flat. I encased the seam. I pressed it carefully. I did all the things you do when you want neat French seams, and you know how long that takes. So basically, I was so elated that it fit me, but I just want to drive home the point of why it fit me. Remember, my bust was too low, so all the fullness of my bust was here instead of here, right? It was down here, and then I raised it 3/4 of an inch, and I put it up where it should go. That brought the fullness up, plus the fullness I added with it already being too low. Those two things together created that miracle of saving my top. Okay, so let me just see here. Oh, hi Jackie. Oh, I love that. The last name. That's cool. All right, thank you for telling me your name. Oh, thank you, beautiful coral and French seam. Oh, okay, so Jackie is explaining to Andrea that I meant the 2 vertical seams from shoulder to apex to waist seam. Yeah, so what I meant was, that is true. I meant all the vertical seams were French seamed. And if I had made the mistake of not adding, because if you think about it, I lost 2 inches, right? If I lost 1 inch here on each side, that's 2 inches across. So it really is a miracle that it fits me. But I think it's because I added all that extra ease and it's, I raised the dart. Now I'm going to add seam allowance to these pieces before I cut it out the next one, because linen is also a little bit forgiving because it can grow. So it might just be that I lucked out there too with my fabric choice. But anyway, so I'm going to create some sort of shaped front neck opening. I can't add a collar now because if you look at how far, I mean, so because my back shoulder is a half an inch longer, that means my front shoulder is half an inch too far away for a collar. So I'm gonna make some shaped front, some shape, maybe a little bit more open front neckline. I'm just gonna open it up and make it into something and finish it with a facing, because I can't add a collar now because my front shoulder seam is a whole inch shorter than my back shoulder seam. And I did it like this, and I kind of fussed with it at the shoulder to get my full half inch in, but also, you know, I made that work. So my golden rules are, let's just review: never cut your fitted pattern into a different style line, because then you don't have it to do anything else with. So that's where I got funked up to begin with. And I have so many copies of this pattern now, I now don't even know. All I know is my princess seam matches, and I'm going to maybe what I'll do is I'll reverse engineer it, and I'll take my princess seam pattern and I'll put it back together. Maybe I'll do that, because I want to have just the front back in one piece again. So I'm going to figure out how to do that the best, most accurate way, just to make sure I have everything the same. But before we go, what I would like to do is just show you here. Here's my sleeve. And on my sleeve, the other thing I did to adjust my sleeve is I had to really shove my hand through the wrist opening. So I slashed and spread, and I added all of this ease to the sleeve. You know, obviously as you get up to the top, it gets to be less and less and less until it's nothing, right? But basically I added an inch, or I'm sorry, 3/4 of an inch of ease there. And I also cut the pattern here, and I raised my shoulder, my elbow dart a half an inch, because my elbow dart was a little bit too short. So if you're making a sleeve that has a shoulder, an elbow dart, you want to make sure it hits you. It'll feel comfortable if it's in the right spot. Mine was a little bit too low, and so it was pulling. So you want to make sure this is in the right spot. So after you draft this, check it, bend your arm, and if it's not comfortable, either raise it or lower it to get it, kind of right in here, right where you bend. So I did raise that. Now the last thing I'm going to do to the sleeve is I'm going to take this, and I'm going to line up. I took more out of the front than I did the back. So I'm basically going to just sort of this on like this. I'm going to use my sew tights to hold these on here like this. Okay, so it's going to be something like this. Now obviously I'm not going to use this jiggly line. So this is why I wanted to show you. When I tell people to use the piece they cut off as a template, okay, that's kind of what I mean. Oh, Jackie said, yeah, it all worked out. It did all work out. But, it's funny how, sometimes I think when you're being super careful, that's when you're apt to make, miss something big, because you're you're hyper focused on all these little details, and then something bigger will skip by you. So I'm just gonna try to get this like this. All right, so I've got all these little jiggly lines. So let's see what that looks like now that all right, so you can see, I don't think you can even see that actually. I'm gonna use my shorter French curve here to sort of create the shape I'm trying to get. All right, so all right, so I'm going to take this much off. Okay. All right, and I do also want to point out to you that I'm just gonna draw my bicep line here, and I'm gonna measure this. I still have, I'm gonna fold it in half so I can find the center. All right, so the center of my cap is right here. That measures 7.5 inches. Okay, so that's still an inch bigger than I used to make my sleeve caps before I started measuring using the muslin. So I feel like if you use the method that I shared to get your cap height, consider this little bit I'm cutting off insurance, because like I said, you can't add it on if it's too short, but you can trim it off if it's too long. So that's what I'm going to use for my next shirt. That's going to be my sleeve. Let me just see here. Jackie is saying you're a new subscriber and you're enjoying my life. Thank you so much for joining. I don't know if there's any other, can you copy the pattern from the finished shirt? Okay, so I've got some good news for you, Jackie. I've got two things to say. I'm gonna switch my view here. First of all, I am teaching a class called The Great Rub Off, where I show how to copy or clone ready to wear. That's going to be on Pattern Review, and it's going to be on May 11th. Okay, so I'm teaching that class. That class will teach you how to clone your clothes. And I'm just going to put in here, you can find that class at patternreview.com. And then the other thing is, if you're new and you're enjoying this live and you'd like more live with me, I do offer a YouTube Insider Club, and the cost for that is $99. And for that, what you get is an organized list. Well, not an organized list, an organized catalog of all of my YouTube content. So pants fitting is together, shirt fittings together, you know, all my Fab Fit Fridays are together, all of my cool tools are together, all of my different topics. There's like 20 topics of different video tutorials that I made. They're all organized by topic and by order of operation. So all of my fitting things are kind of in order. So it makes it easier to find things. You just download it, and then you can click the table of contents, and it will bring you to the video page in the catalog. And then if you want to go to that video on my YouTube channel, there's a QR code or a bit.ly link that you can just go right to the video you're looking for. And we also get together on the last Sunday of every month. So we will be getting together this month at 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on the 26th. And that's actually right before my epic adventure when I drive to Pennsylvania to teach bodice fitting. And then from Pennsylvania, I'm driving to Illinois to do a show, the Fabric, Fiber, and Craft Show. So basically, you know, that's another opportunity to get together. The reason why I like to get together in my Insider Club is because I can see you and you can see me. And I also have a Q&A community page in there. There's a lot of value for a one-time payment of $99. So there's a link for that in the description below if you're interested. All right, so Jackie says, I discovered your channel when looking for instruction on how to reduce crotch or front rise on pants. Very happy to have found you. Well, I'm very happy that you found me too, and I really appreciate that you have joined me live. I do mention usually at this time during my live, most lives are about an hour. Last week went 2 hours because I had to speed sew something together to see if it worked. But I really appreciate that you take the time to join me because I love Fab Fit Friday. I love getting together with you guys. I love sharing what I'm working on. Sometimes I wish I was a little bit more organized because I have so many things going on. And because you're here, I'm going to give you a sneak peek at something. You know, I've been talking about rebranding my patterns for a long time, and I have 27 different patterns. So that's a monumental task. And I'm going to that show in 2 weeks, or really a week from Monday now. So I have to print a bunch of patterns. I have to make my booth, like my little store in the show. And I decided instead of freaking out that I didn't rebrand anything, I have been working on the pattern cover design. So I'm going to show you my new pattern cover. It's only on my phone because my husband's working on it for me. But basically, I'm going to show you what it looks like. You guys are the first ones to see it. All right, I'm going to show you. Ready? This is going to be the new style of my pattern cover. And if any of you are in my YouTube Insider group, you might recognize that blue banner is part of the marketing or branding for my YouTube club. So that is going to be the cover of all of my patterns. So it's going to have a picture of how the garment looks on a body, and then I'm going to have the front and back flats or different versions of the garment next to it. So that is how my covers are going to look going forward. I'm very excited, and it looks kind of blue on the screen. The background in person is more gray, like a lighter gray. But anyway, but that's what I've been working on. And quite honestly, that's probably why I screwed up what I did and did not do here, because I've been working on my patterns and I keep running downstairs to help my husband with the photos and with all the other things. So if you're coming to the Fabric, Fiber, and Craft Show in Rosemont, Illinois, May 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, or 2nd and 3rd, and you come to my booth, you will see all these new covers. So I'm very excited. So that's what I'm doing, and I want to thank everybody for hanging out with me today. Thank you for letting me wear my little tank top. I'm so hot, and I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Oh, hold on. So if you missed, since we have a new person in the house, I want to show you this. I want to show it again. I'm so enamored with this. All right, so this was my cool tool for this week, is a digital tape measure. And the cool thing about this is, let me just show you here. It's because someone asked me something, so I also want to explain something else. Okay, so this thing right here is amazing. I think you can see it says 00 right now, right? So if I pull it out, it will tell me how much I am pulling out. Right now we're on centimeters, so I'm going to switch to inches. So I'm at 12 inches, 12.5 inches, see? So, but here's the best part. So if I need to measure a line, like let's say I wanted just to measure, you know, something, I could, you know, use it for that. So like if I wanted to measure my shoulder length or whatever, I could. But here's the other benefit of this. Look at this. I can click it into this little space here. So see how I made a loop? And then watch what I can do with it. I'm going to open up the app for it. It's Fit Index right here. This is what the app looks like. Okay, and I want you to notice here, what do I have? I don't know if you can see this, or maybe it's too bright. Hold on one second. Make it a little bit less bright. Oh, there we go, you can see it better now. Okay, so you can record all of your measurements on your phone, right? So basically, if I want to measure something, let's say I want to measure I'm going to measure my left bicep. I'm going to click that. So see how it turns red there. And it's saying, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this out a little bit more. I'm going to put my arm in to where my bicep is, and then I'm going to press the little gray button on the side and see how it tightens up. And it will give me a very accurate measurement. So I'm just fiddling around with it to get it to where it's, you know, my thing is. So here we are. See, bicep. I don't have to crane my neck and look for the number. I don't have to hold this. And then if I go back over here, whoops, you will see the number that's on here is 11.82 inches. And that's what the screen says on my thing too. Oh, it switched to 11.3. You see? 11.3, 11 point whatever. So I think this is my most new favorite tool. And I did a cool tool for that on Monday. So if you go to my channel and check that out, I do have a link to get that. It only goes to 60 inches. I'm going to find one that's longer because I want to have a size inclusive one. I'm really mad at myself for not checking that before I purchased this one. But I am in love with this thing. Okay, so let me just say. Oh, hey DIYer girl. So nice to hang out with you too. Oh, so Jackie says she thought I was organized. I try to be, but like, if everything doesn't go exactly the way I think I want it to go, then I get like, ugh. So sometimes I go off on little tangents. So the app does not cost anything. And here's another thing I want to tell you. There is right in the app, if I go to the home page, like if I go to home or my account, there is a little help button. Okay, so see how right here at the top, it says help right here? I posted a message and it immediately went off in my email. And I just want to show you here, because I had trouble figuring out why my measurements kept going to centimeters. But basically, I got a message back from them. Let me just see if I can find it. Okay, so look at this. It's giving me all the instructions to troubleshoot the question I had. So the help for this app is amazing. It's built right in. So there you are. So the customer service is very good in this app. The app is free. This costs $20-something, I think. So I love it. Oh, Barbara. Oh, Barbara, you have another live you'll have to watch later. We're all done. So you hung out till the end. I'm just chitter-chattering now. Yes. All right. So, okay, hold on one second. I'm gonna hold. I'm gonna put a link to that cool tool right there. I'll get the link for you. Hold on. So in my cool tool, where I reviewed this. Now this is an Amazon affiliate link, but I will put it over here for you. But I definitely feel like this is my most fun thing. So there you are. Okay. Okay. No, Barbara, don't cry. You made it. Go watch your other live. I know there are a lot of wonderful people who do live, so if you can't come to my live sometimes, there's something else you want to watch. My feelings are not offended. Like, you know what I mean? So there you go. All right, so now that I did all that extra talking, I am going to go now. Oh, I'm sorry, Michael. I'm just about to log off, but thank you for coming. Thank you for coming, and I'll see you guys next week. So next week I will be here. The week after I will not, because I will be in Illinois. But if you're in Rosemont, Illinois, or if you're going to the Fabric Fiber Craft Show, definitely come and visit me in my booth. It's going to be a lot of fun, I think. Hanging out with Carol from Ditto Form and Trisha from Creative Costume Academy. So I'll be in good company. All right, so you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Enjoy your weekend, and thank you so much for watching. Bye.